Hi guys, welcome back to My Perspective. Today we're going to be talking about hormones and my experience with different types of birth controls and how I'm healing myself holistically. But before we get into the episode, I want to give a little update. First off is I'm going to a Pilates class tonight. I've been doing ClassPass. Highly recommend. I don't know why I haven't done it sooner. I'm doing Pilates because I'm in my luteal phase, and that's kind of exciting. And then also, I just went on a walk during sunset. It was so beautiful. I was walking around Newport and I found this cute little park that I've never seen before, and I started a new audiobook from Colleen Hoover. So far, don't know how I feel about it, but because the last one I didn't like, but this one I feel might be better. I don't like cheating stories. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but I don't like bad vibes. Or this one, the last book I read was just an unhappy marriage. So I like positive, happy, healthy relationship type books because I feel like it manifests into my own life unknowingly. So I like to put positive, good info into my brain. Okay, side note, but let's get into today's episode. Today we're going to be talking all about birth control, hormones, and my own experience with it all. And holistic new, health-wise stuff. Okay, so going into it, I want to say first, starting off, that I am not anti-birth control. I'm fully women's choice and rights, and everyone having access to birth control, education around it. I don't want you to get that misconception from listening to my story. It impacted my confidence. I got birth control without telling my mom, and I was on the pill. And this first pill, I don't even know what type it was, but it automatically made me gain 40 pounds. And a lot of people say birth control doesn't make you gain weight, but it was very obvious that's why it was. I was just bloated and touched my leg, and it would just make an indent. The water retention was insane. My appetite, I could just never stop eating. My chest grew to double D's, or triple D's, I mean. I was not in the body I think my body was supposed to be in, and it was super uncomfortable, and then skin was great though. So once my mom found out I was on birth control, I went through my doctor then, because I went through the pill club, and through my doctor she put me on a different one. Okay, I think I was on birth control for 2 to 3 years. I think I was on the pill for a year and a half. Went down a whole chest size, and I lost probably 10 pounds or something. So no matter what I did on the pill, it was really hard for me to lose weight. No matter if I was working out or eating well, nothing was working. And so then I went on the second pill, and it was fine. Acne was gone, blah, blah, blah. Everything was chilling. I was kind of sketched out by the pill because there's so much human air on it that I decided to get the arm implant, and my sister got it, and she told me all these wonderful things she was having with it. So I was like, okay, let me try that. So I went on, I got the arm implant. Great experience, didn't hurt putting it in or whatever. So that was great. But then I started to notice my hair was falling out like crazy. I'm super insecure about my hair because I already had thin hair to start with. I have no hair now. I have hair, but it's such a feminine thing for hair, and it really took a toll on my confidence getting the arm implant. And I got a little bit of acne here and there, but nothing bad. I also got my period every 3 months. So if you like that, that's why, it was good or not. And I have a best friend who's on the arm implant and had her period for a freaking year. So everyone's experience is different. My sister, still great. Me, not so much. Really was interested in my hormones at the point of my arm implant. I was really interested on healing myself holistically and finding out the root causes of my issues. And I knew I couldn't really do that while being on birth control because I wanted control of my body, and I don't have control when I'm on hormonal contraceptives or the arm implant. No, it is less hormones than the pill. I decided to get the copper IUD, and my doctors were not supportive. They also tried to tell me that the hormones in my IUD were good for me and that I needed it, and the copper IUD wasn't made for me. It's made for women who's had babies, and it's not going to fit, and my cramps are going to be bad, and they're trying to give me every scenario why I shouldn't do it. And I told them that my body did not react to hormone previously well. So why would I go and get an IUD 6 months later after getting the arm implant when I already know that's not what I want? And I did my research and I was at my appointment and they were trying to convince me not to. They even brought out the wrong IUD. I was like, oh, okay, this is the Kyleena or whatever. Like, you're getting this one. I was like, no, I'm not. I've told you multiple times I'm getting the copper IUD. So for me, the copper IUD was the best option for myself because it lasts for 10 to 12 years. It's non-hormonal. There are horror stories if you look on TikTok, but there's going to be a horror story about anything. I wanted to try this one last option before just not being on any birth control. And I'm 20 years old, so it'd be kind of nice to have some birth control options. My opinion here is I think not enough people know the different options they have for themselves. The pill, the arm implant, the IUD, the copper IUD, taking your temperature, all the things. My doctor's trying to get me to do something else, and she told me she was upset that she just put my arm implant out and 6 months later I'm getting it out. That's not really what you want to hear when you're about to have a minor operation, basically. So during my operation, I was already super anxiety filled and stressed out from my doctors, and this is something new I'm doing, obviously. So I passed out and threw up. My doctor told me, I was like, before I threw up, she was like, or passed out, she was like, I told her, I was like, oh, I'm really nauseous. Or I went to go text my boyfriend and tell him I'm super nauseous. And she looks at me, she's like, obviously you're not that nauseous if you can text. How rude is that? That is so mean. And I started crying. They gave me a towel, they tried to give me food, and I was gone. So that did not help go at someone or go freaking drunk or something, because that was the most painful thing ever. And in that moment, I was about to never recommend a copper IUD or IUD to anyone in my whole life. But then I realized it was one day of pain for 12 years of no babies. So now let's go into why I decided to do the non-hormonal option, not be on birth control in general if it didn't work for me. 2 months after getting the IUD, I got my hormones tested. The symptoms I've had are hair loss, fatigue, muscle aches, joint pain, fog, bloating, digestive issues, extreme depression, anxiety, a lot of things. I can probably name more if I thought more about it, but having a lot of problems, and I'm 20 years old. I go see my holistic doctor, and I got my hormones tested and my gut tested. It basically told me that, and I have a whole TikTok video explaining the results. My gut test basically told me in my body that processes gluten does not know what it is, and my levels were 3 times because stressed out and they didn't know how to process gluten. Continued eating it, I would develop an autoimmune disease. It would start attacking my thyroid and my pancreas and my joints and all different types of things. Immediately stopped eating gluten. And then also told me that it had a little bit extra and a little bit less of certain good and bad bacteria, which is fine. I have been working on that. My hormones, it told me that adrenal fatigue, have no estrogen, low estrogen, low progesterone, practically no cortisol. And to my hormones is I have no cortisol, which explains why I'm always tired. Most of my vitamins were good. My methylated was good, so that means the nutrients for my food. I'm pretty sure that means I'm processing and actually taking it in. The point is I found all this info, made a lot of sense. Basically, my levels were not optimal to my age and how active I am and blah, blah, blah. So that was what was confusing, was maybe this would have been fine for somebody else older, but for myself, no. And that's the whole point, is I'm having all these problems, but I don't know why. Is it because I took birth control? My mother would probably say yes. Do I actually know? No. But my goal for this year is to really take my health into my own hands, advocate for myself, and find the most holistic and natural approach, so I'm not just put on medication or given hormone supplements, because that's not sustainable to my lifelong goals. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to go this route, because if you need some type of medication, you go get that, you need that. But for myself, I don't want to go down that route. I'll tell you some things that I'm doing currently to help my hormones, but then I'll also tell you recently I'm kind of frustrated at the moment, and I feel as though they've gotten worse, even though I know some of my test results. I need to make an appointment with my doctor to get tested. You may think I'm crazy, I'm sorry. I want to get tested for a bunch. Okay, so my gut test revealed that I have autoimmune triggers, meaning I'm at high risk dairy and sugar intake, to see if it correlates to my joint pain, because I already cut out gluten. Great experience so far. I've had a really hard issue with that. So we'll see how that goes. But I want to get tested for a bunch of different autoimmune diseases because maybe I'm celiac, or I don't even know. Someone like DM'd me on Instagram, maybe said I might have Addison's disease. So I don't want to go to the extreme, but I'd rather get tested from a doctor before I freak out on a Google search. Oh. Okay, but let's talk. Okay, now let's talk about how I'm actually supporting my hormones, and if you're having these issues, what I'm doing. I got my hormones tested. We've already talked about that. So if you feel like anything is wrong, it probably is. Trust your gut instinct and go see a holistic doctor, endocrinologist, and really get to the root of the issue, because if you go to a regular doctor, no hate on regular doctors, but they can't run a bunch of tests for no reason. They're just not allowed to do that. Most aren't allowed to do that. If you say you do get some blood work done or something, 2 of your thyroid, like they're only looking at the blanket approach, not necessarily like little tiny factors that can impact, say, your thyroid, for instance. So that's the point of seeing a holistic doctor, because that's what they're trying to do, is find the root of the cause, not a Band-Aid approach. They're allowed to run all those extra tests. I mean, you're probably paying for it out of pocket, but it might save you long-term health issues. So that's what I would do first, is save up, get these tested, get someone to interpret those results, and really find out what's causing your issues. Next is I started cycle syncing from the book In the Flow by Alyssa Vitti or something, and I learned about the different phases of my cycle. So we, as females, we have a 25 to 40 day cycle. I have a super long cycle at the moment that I'm trying to wrap up faster, but that impacts how I feel, what my body needs and not to do every day. Make sure you go get yourself a little snack while you're listening to this and drink some water. But moving forward, what I'm doing. So cycle syncing has helped. I've cycle synced my food and also my workouts. So with my food, I'll go to the grocery store, I'll pick up some extra vegetables, grains, meat, for whatever that phase wants me to do. For workouts, I'll change up my workouts depending on what phase I'm in. So today I'm in luteal phase. That means I'm going to go do a workout class. I'm so excited. I'm going to this workout class in Newport called, I just wanted to try the studio, and it was only 3 credits on ClassPass, which is so awesome. I changed my workouts, obviously. From my hormone test, I learned that because I have adrenal fatigue, I don't want to do anything that stresses my body out. Sometimes I still do, but because I don't enjoy it. But so like hot yoga, not in the cards for me. The hot room, 1, I hate it, not gonna lie. But also 2, it stresses my hormones out even more, and I don't need that because I have no cortisol, and it would drop my cortisol even more. Obviously, if I'm taking a workout class, it's like 45 minutes to 50 minutes. Not ideal, but I don't really want to leave early. I know I could ask, but I'm paying for it. Maybe if I wasn't paying, like if I'm going to go to the gym, I'll work out for 30, 45 minutes. And also, the workouts I do are usually low impact. I very rarely will go on a run, and I still walk during the run, or doing like a HIIT class. It's not my fave anyways to do running and HIIT classes, so I'm not even missing out on that much, because I learned that you don't need to sweat or be out of breath to actually have a productive workout. Somehow being an athlete convinced me that you need to basically be dying at each workout for it to count. And that's not true. I can go to a Pilates class, I can go on a walk, and that counts as a workout. So I changed my workouts, I changed the way I eat. Cutting out gluten definitely helped. I wouldn't do it unless you know it affects you. So that's the thing. Don't cut out a bunch of things if you're not doing your research, not asking a doctor, and, figuring out the root causes of stuff. Because my doctor did tell me to look at gluten, soy, and sugar and dairy. I'm not taking all those out, but I'm just paying attention to how my body reacts to them. And then also, obviously, eating more whole foods. I don't eat out a ton. Like today I went to In-N-Out, but I'm not doing that on a weekly basis. I'm kind of known for being too cheap to go out to eat anyway, so I like to cook at home a lot. That might have to do with having control of what I'm eating, but I notice I do feel better cooking my own food or going somewhere I know doesn't drench all my food in oils and all the food's just kind of low quality. I like to eat high quality, nutritious meals that don't make me feel gross or make me feel bloated and tired after. That's what I've learned as with food. I would say my craving sweets at night definitely has changed as well by eating better in terms of nutrients. And I would say I've seen a physical difference as well. I have seen more fitness benefits from eating more, but also more whole foods / nutrient dense foods as well. I've gotten, like this past summer, my body has gotten a lot more toned. And I've always had a hard time with that. But I honestly think that's because of coming off birth control, to be honest. Because I've done the same workouts. A lot has to do with going off birth control and cycle syncing. I'm pretty positive. Going into nutrition and workouts, going into supplements. I take so many supplements. So my naturopath told me, or I had a handful of gut supplements to take after getting my test. And then I had probably 2 or 3 from my hormone test. But I'm taking multiple at different types a day. So it's kind of crazy. I do notice a huge difference in my energy levels, 100% on my hormone supplements. And then also my joints hurting from my gut test. And I'm still working on the hair stuff. Still working on the hair loss thing. I bet that does have some type of correlation, but I'd say I am a huge advocate for supplements. One, a multivitamin, don't recommend because there's no way to really get all of that in one little pill. But I would say getting tested is really important because if you're just taking supplement randomly because you think you have this issue, you might be taking the wrong dosage. I wouldn't say it would hurt you, but you might be taking the wrong dosage or taking things you don't actually need, hence wasting money. So if you don't see a difference after taking them, I wouldn't really recommend it, but it doesn't really hurt usually. So things I take are maca for libido. These are just off the top of my head, but maca for libido, adrenal and ginseng for energy, adrenal desiccated for energy and / brain fog and like focus. I take a pre and probiotic by Seed. I take 2 gut supplements like that are powders. I take hypothalamics. I take a hair supplement. Oh, and I also took oil of oregano and chaste tree. So I probably take more than that, honestly, but that's what I can think of. Oh yeah, I also take like turmeric if my joints hurt. Same with like calcium. I take elderberry if like anyone around me is getting sick, or charcoal if I'm hungover. So I have a bunch of different supplements I take not every day, but mostly as needed. So that's really helpful too, as I've learned that. And then I also can take I take like magnesium for nighttime, and I'll kind of also look at my cycle syncing chart to see what type of vitamins I do need. So that's based off what foods I eat, but I also will supplement with those as well. So if I need extra vitamin A, I'll take a vitamin A that week or whatever. I think that's helped. I also was just I'm naturally a good water drinker, so go drink some water right now. I probably drink 4 to 6 Stanley 42-ounce cups or 40-ounce cups a day. I've always been that girl since I was a little girl. I've always had a hydro or water bottle or whatever and bring it everywhere with me. Nothing new for myself. I also have dry skin. Oh, that's one of my symptoms. But say that drink more water if you're having any issues. I think water, supplements, working out, and food. So next for hormones, I would say I kind of cut out not say a lot of people in my life, but I would say I protected my peace the most this year out of anything. My phone's usually on do not disturb. I don't respond to people. People probably hate me for that, but I don't really care. I'm not on social media a ton. I'm on TikTok a ton, but I'm not scrolling on Instagram or responding to people on social media. I keep to myself a lot. I like to be alone a lot. I like to really just have my mornings to myself, have my nights to myself, hang out with one person a day, or my boyfriend that you're going to see every weekend at the party getting blacked out, and that's just not me. And that's fine if that's you, but I get so drained. I need to rest. And I think that's really helped my hormones is resting and taking advantage of my of my nighttime and morning routine. And I try to keep my life semi-stress-free. I'm a huge stressor, so it's really hard. I currently work at a clothing store, so that perhaps has helped because I used to babysit, and I swear I had 5-year-olds screaming at me at 7 a.m. That's not good for myself. So I would say that's really helped as well. I don't drink caffeine unless it's matcha, which is probably once or twice a week. And then I drink tea probably 2 or 3 or 5 cups a day, but it's all uncaffeinated. So I've also done that is I start cycle syncing my caffeine. Not my caffeine, my teas, which I really love. So I'll drink different teas in different phases of my cycle. Tea has been around for hundreds of years by Japanese and other Asian cultures, which I'm Japanese, so I love just that part of my culture, and they drink different teas for like if you're getting sick or if your stomach hurts or, you know, whatever reason there is. I swear they always have a tea for it. So I've been doing that with my own hormones. Wrap up this episode. That was my experience with birth control and kind of the ongoing health hormone issue I'm currently dealing with, and a possible it's not this one fix, you get your test results and your life's all better. And sometimes it can be lonely, but you're not alone because a lot of people are going through the same thing, or it's just not talked about, or this is a long journey I'm going to be on, and I'll keep you guys updated. And it's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be having a morning or night routine every day and being on it. I'm gonna fall out of routine. I currently am not in routine. That's what happens when I go home. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to probably have a lot more episodes about holistic health and what I've learned and what I'm experiencing and my little tips and tricks of how I'm trying to improve my life. So if you like today's episode, please let me know so I can maybe do a part 2 on this. So I hope you have a great morning, night, or afternoon whenever you're listening to this. And I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.